"84 years ago today in 1938, British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain, French Prime Minister Édouard Daladier, Italian Prime Minister Benito Mussolini, and German Chancellor Adolf Hitler signed an agreement in Munich permitting German annexation of the Sudetenland in Czechoslovakia, Munich. While popular at the time, the agreement has in the 80 years since become a byword for appeasement and naivety. The Czechoslovak state ruled over a 25% German population accustomed, prior to 1918, to privilege in the linguistically German Austro-Hungarian Empire. In the 1935 Czechoslovak elections, a secessionist party received two-thirds of the Sudeten German vote, a discontent both inflamed and taken advantage of by Hitler. But France had signed after WW1 a security pact with Czechoslovakia. Chamberlain was worried by the possibility of France and Germany starting a war from which Britain could not remain aloof. Britain did not want to start a war over the morally questionable status of the Sudeten Germans in a country unimportant to British security interests. Additionally, Britain was woefully underprepared for war in 1938. She had 2 combat divisions stationed in Britain, the rest scattered across a worldwide empire. Unwilling and possibly unable to fight a war on the issue, Chamberlain went to Munich in September 1938 to effect a peaceful transfer of territory. In fact, Chamberlain went to Germany 3 times in September 1938, the first trip by a British Prime Minister to Germany in 60 years. Such shuttle diplomacy by a head of government was highly irregular before World War II. The second meeting, in Bad Godesberg, went badly and resulted in Hitler giving Czechoslovakia a deadline of October 1st to evacuate the Sudetenland, a deadline he later moved to 2 p.m. on the 28th of September. As late as 10 a.m. on the 28th of September, war looked likely. Italy secured a 24-hour delay in hostilities to facilitate a third conference in Munich to be held on September 29th. It was at this conference that the 4 leaders, but importantly, not Czechoslovakia or the Soviet Union, would decide the future of Czechoslovakia. Despite many hours of chaotic negotiations conducted in 3 European languages, an agreement was come to with the 4 powers. Czech and Soviet intentions were not mentioned. The eventual agreement stipulated that Czechoslovakia was to evacuate the disputed territory by October 10th, leaving behind defensive installations, created at great expense by the Czechoslovakian government, undamaged for German use. If Czechoslovakia did not comply, Britain and France would regard them as the aggressor in any upcoming war. Czechoslovakia, with little other option, capitulated to the terms agreed at Munich. Hitler and Chamberlain had a further private meeting on Anglo-German relations in which a vague statement of mutually pacific intentions was issued. Though criticized by Churchill, support for Munich was widespread, as can be attested by large supportive crowds greeting both Chamberlain and Daladier as they flew home from Munich. President Roosevelt publicly supported the deal and attempted to take credit for distantly brokering compromise. Margaret Asquith called Chamberlain the greatest man who ever lived. The British public were led to believe, by a prime minister whose diaries reveal he knew better, that Hitler was sincere when he said the Sudetenland was his last territorial demand. They were not celebrating an 11-month ceasefire for the Western powers, which is all Munich amounted to in the end and is possibly all it was intended to be. It would seem they genuinely regarded this agreement as a basis for permanent peace, which none of the participants did. It is this misunderstanding of Chamberlain's intentions which has contributed to Chamberlain being considered one of the worst British prime ministers in history. Picture Chamberlain, Daladier, Hitler, Mussolini, and Italian Foreign Minister Galeazzo Ciano, unknown photographer 29/9/1938.